So we all have that one class with somebody who is just non-stop stressed. I mean, the teacher tells them there's a test coming up. They're worried about when they're gonna study. They're studying and they're dropping in the group chat saying how stressful studying is. They show up to the day of the test and they're saying, oh my god, I'm gonna do so bad. They're taking the actual test and for some reason they think it upon themselves a good idea to talk out loud about how stressful the specific problem they're working on is, and then as they hand the paper to the teacher, they say, I'm so stressed that I did bad on this exam, and then everyone goes home, and who's in the group chat again but this girl or guy who's just like, that test was so hard, I'm so stressed that I'm gonna do bad on it. And how do they live like that? I genuinely don't understand it, but guys, this video is going to be all about stress because in high school we have a lot of things going on. Sports, life, friends, family, school, clubs, whatever it may be, and part of high school is learning how to balance everything, and with that learning experience, there's going to be some stress along the ways. I actually don't stress very much, down to the point where it's almost a personality flaw where I can't really resonate with a group of people who are genuinely stressed. There's a lot of reasons for it, but I think the main one is I read this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, when my brain was first starting to develop in the 8th grade. Part of this book is not stressing and learning what you do or don't have control over. So I'm going to be going over that today, guys. My name is Alex Bianchi. This is Define Wisdom, and be sure to watch until the end of the video so that you get to learn how not to stress. And while we're here, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and commented on the video. I know I only get maybe 50 to 100 views on each of these, sometimes more. But if I could really get those engagement rates up so that more people are liking and commenting, that would be great for me and the YouTube algorithm, as well as everyone that comments down below, so that we can all have great conversations. I'm really trying to help everyone help each other here. And without further ado, let's talk about it. So really, when it comes down to stressing, for me it comes down to the circle of influence. You can see the circle of influence right here. You have the circle of concern and the circle of control. Or in other words, things that you can and cannot influence. And most of the stuff that we stress about are things that we really don't have control over. Maybe we already handed in a test, or we handed in an application to college, a resume to a potential job. Or maybe you got pulled over for going 90 and a 55 even though it was a 65 20 feet ago and you really just weren't paying attention, so you wound up with 2 tickets, one of which is a reckless driving that gives you 2 points on your license because some stupid. I'm not talking from personal experience or anything. All of these things we don't have any direct control over. There's no reason to stress over something that you have no control over, even if it could have a drastic effect on your life. You see, when we stress about these things, it takes up valuable mental capacity and time. And often the stress can affect other aspects of life where not only is it having a negative impact on the task at hand, but it's also bleeding into different activities that you might be involved in. If you don't have the ability to directly influence something, then don't stress about it. And in the situation that you do have the ability to directly influence something, then go and do it. There's no reason to sit around stressed when you could be taking action. So when you're stressed about something, take a deep breath. And I love taking deep breaths. It helps out a lot. But ask yourself the question, can I do something to solve this issue right now? And is it important? You see, it's necessary to understand whether or not something is important. Being smart is knowing how to do something, and being wise is knowing whether or not you should do it in the first place. And the goal here is obviously wisdom. All too often, you might be stressed that Betty put something in the group chat and said something bad about Veronica and who knows what, but silly things like that in your friend group in the grand scheme of life aren't important. You can think of it this way. 20 years from now, are you going to look back and say, I'm really happy that I stressed out over that issue that really had no effect on me in the long run? Or are you going to look back and say, damn, I wish I hadn't stressed and I went out and had a good weekend with my friends? Don't let the test you handed in on Friday affect your entire weekend. Because even if you do bad on the test, you'd rather have the upside of saying, I might have done bad on the test this week, but I had a good weekend and that's what matters. As opposed to if you did bad on the test and you stressed about it, where it's like, damn, I did bad on this test and this test made my weekend horrible. This test sucks. I hate this class and I hate this teacher. We could have the argument as to how the teacher and the class is affecting your life, but in the end of the day, you're the one letting it affect you, and you're the one letting it affect your mental state when you're not actually in the class itself. So what if you're stressed about something a little bit more complex than a test? Because with a test, you either study for the test, take the test, or wait for the result. And for those, you should either not stress and just study, not stress and focus on the test in front of you, because stressing is going to do nothing but eat into the time that you have to take the test. And if you're waiting, then we've already established there's no point in stressing about something you can't control. Let's take an example for something a little bit more complex that's ahead of you. Say you wanted to start a school club. You might have some valid concerns. What if you get swamped with tests as soon as the club starts, or nobody shows up to it, or people that do show up don't find it fun, or your friends make fun of you because you're starting a school club, and who the hell starts a school club? But if your goal, if you decided, I want to start a school club for me, then all of those are just excuses and stress points. And for most of them, you're worried about things that are so far in the future you don't really have control over them. If you're determined to start the club, then you gotta start worrying about things that you can control and influence. Back to this chart here, you can see that if you focus on the things that you can influence, then your influence will grow. You see, I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this, but you can see it's a circle. So think of every 1 unit of effort that you put into a task increases the radius of the circle by 1. But every time that you increase the radius of a circle by 1, you increase the circumference by more than 1. Pi times the diameter to be exact, but this isn't geometry class. Basically, if you focus on what you can actively do and control, and you take away focus from the circle of concern, then you will be able to grow your circle of influence. But this is twofold. If you put negative energy into focusing on the circle of concern, then that's eventually going to get larger and larger and larger. This is why a positive mental attitude is so key, because if you're not positive, you're negative. And it really is as black and white as if you're thinking positively, your circle of influence will grow. And if you're thinking negatively, your circle of concern will grow or start to eat into the circle of influence. Now, the world isn't all rainbows and lollipops, so you're gonna have speed bumps, and you're gonna have to take actions to actually increase the circumference of the circle of influence, but in the long term, just focusing on that instead of focusing on all the stress around you is gonna go a long way. And it's because I focus on what I can control. I focus on making the audio and lighting better instead of worrying about why I don't have 1,000 subscribers yet. It's why I handed an application into Princeton, and I'm not really too concerned if they accept me or not. Even though I know it's a little bit of a long shot, I am not all too stressed about it. I did my interview. I handed in my application. I have to wait. It's out of my control, and it's not worth my time and energy to think about it at all. So to make it simple, focus on what you can do right now. And don't stress about the things that you can't. Everything I just said is focus on what you can do. Don't focus on what you can't do. Don't stress about something you can do, because you're gonna do your best. And whatever life throws at you after that, that's life's call. And don't focus on what you can't do, because you can't do anything about it. So if it's bad, so be it. You couldn't control that part of your life. But maybe if in the past you had focused more on what you can do, your influence could have grown there. So use it as an example and say, damn, if only a month ago I wasn't stressing about how much homework I had and I actually did my homework, my grades right now would be higher. And my grades are my current stress point, which are stopping me from doing my homework because I'm too stressed about my grades. All of this stress that we go through in high school is at the risk of spiraling you out of control. We've all seen it happen, probably to the kid that I talked about in the beginning of the video. So guys, I wish you the best of luck in avoiding as much stress as humanly possible. Do understand that some stress is inevitable, and it's gonna happen, and you shouldn't stress about the stress in that case. And also know that you really need to take action in your life and be proactive in order to make any significant changes. But stress is going to inhibit both of those things. So guys, my name is Bianchi. This is Define Wisdom, and I'm going to ask you to like and comment again. If you're a teenager who made it to the end of this video and you're curious in getting a copy of the 7 Habits, I will personally buy the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for you if you just comment 7 Habits down in the description. I'll ship it straight to your house, I swear. Give me a shout out on Snapchat, tell people to go subscribe to me if you feel like being nice, but if you've genuinely made it to the end and you're curious in what the rest of this book has to offer, because it changed my life and it has the ability to change yours too, then comment down below. I'll buy it for you. I can afford the $10. Peace.
This is less interesting than the
It
first one.
was more fun the first time. Get up there.
What the flip is up, tubers? What's going on? Wait, bring me up to it, Hey guys, welcome back to my ASMR channel. Like and subscribe.
my eyes. Focus.
I can really look at your eyes there.
Bounce that thing like a basketball and don't shake it at all. Ow.
Okay. Oh, there are my flares and my key and my card. Wow. Fuck.